Hey everyone, welcome to Pass or Play. So we have Reasonable Doubt Season 1, Episode 6, titled Renegade, currently streaming on Hulu. We open up and find out that out of the two missed calls from last week's episode, one from Lewis, one from Damon, Damon was the one that Jax called back. He's over at her house. They're in the kitchen, and he's like, you wanted me to come over, and they kind of kiss for a moment, and then she's like, I want you inside me, and they get busy right then and there on the kitchen counter. Damon must got that good. He got that vitamin D, because the next day she is getting her hair done, and she is singing Living My Life Like It's Golden by Jill Scott just in the car. She's smiling. She got a little bit more pep in the step. People noticing the glow. They're like, what's going on? She's like, nothing, I'm just doing good. And and Then we go to Braden's trial. This is the first day of the beginning of his murder trial. And, Jax is his defense. And then, you have the prosecution, the DA. They're both giving their open arguments, their open statements. They're examining and cross-examining each other's witnesses, for each side. And then we find out that Ryan, Kalicia's husband, he had some violent, erratic behavior, and he physically assaulted her once. He gave her a red eye, and she called the police on him. And, in his statement initially, when the prosecution or the DA was, questioning him, he just kept saying, Braden killed his wife. Just kept, saying that when they were asking him questions. And, when Jax cross-examines him, she kind of gives that information to the court. And so he did leave the, they said he was at some kind of job event or expo or whatever, but he did leave that event early. And, of course, Jax's job is to, basically give reasonable doubt, to perhaps show that it could be somebody else. And, she puts attention to Ryan, the ex-assistant that Kalisha had, who broke into her car like a month ago. And from there, we go to in this episode, Ryan and Sarah, Braden's wife, they finally meet up in some random parking lot. Sarah wants Ryan to keep quiet about her emails with Kalisha because they make her look bad. And they also, again, they reveal that she knew about the affair before Braden told her. And, Ryan's like, because you lying. And, she tries to pay him off again. I can, give you some money. And he's like, rich people think you can, just simply, get rid of things handled by using money. And basically, he wants Braden to pay. Even though, she tells him that Braden is not capable of murder. And then later in this episode, but also later in like the week of this episode, she goes back to Braden. She goes to Ryan's house and tells him, he wants Braden to pay for fucking his wife and not necessarily to go to jail, or prison. And she starts to just unbuckle his belt, and she shows him what her mouth do. Because, she's like, there are other ways to stick it to Braden. There are other ways to make him pay for sleeping with your wife. And she just pulls his pants down, and she just gets, she just starts, doing it right then and there with them. They don't show them necessarily having sex, but that's what they show her do. What they end up showing her doing. And then we go back to Jackson Damon. They end up meeting up at a hotel, and Damon, he puts flowers on the bed in the heart shape, and he the tub, he fills up the bath with warm water, puts petals in the tub and candles, kind of set up a whole like relaxed ambiance. And he, basically he just lets her know, I don't have the money to buy you purses and cars and all that, but there are other ways that I can take care of you. And basically he tries to leave because he wants her to kind of de-stress and relax and kind of you know kind of basically chillax, chill out, because he can see that she's busy working on his case. And he tries to leave, and she kisses him, and then she like starts to take off her clothes to go into the bath, and it kind of just ends there. And then they end up having like another date where he takes her out to dinner, and she's looking around kind of all suspiciously, I guess, to see if there's anyone at this restaurant that she might know. And then they go out into the parking lot, and Damon's like, what do you want, Jax? And Jax is like, I don't know, like this is all new. I'm trying to figure this out. I'm still married. You're trying to get back on your feet, because you just got out of jail. And not because he was in jail, but just like, he's trying to get himself together too. And she's like, it's kind of weird with him being in the same house, that she shares with her husband. It's just kind of weird, and that's why she doesn't necessarily want him there. And Damon's like, I want you for you, since we met and had that connection, those 16 years ago. And, he just wants to know if she wants that too. And he also says, like, I don't want to be some kind of amusement park that you just come and go in and out of, when you just want to have some fun. He wants something serious. He wants something real. And she's just like, I don't have an answer for you right now. And and Damon's like, I think you just gave it to me. And he just kind of leaves. And then later too in the episode, Damon, he ends up asking his brother CJ at work, to tell him more about what CJ's been doing to make that extra money, which is a crime. I mean, so again, I've said it before in the other reviews. I think it would be sad if he ends up getting involved with whatever his brother's doing, CJ, and ends up going back to jail, especially since he spent all those years there for this crime that he didn't commit. I don't know, unless they do some kind of surprise thing, in maybe the season finale or something of this year. I mean, of this season, and it'd be like, oh, he did do the crime. I don't know, but for him to be stupid and being on parole to perhaps get involved in whatever his brother is doing, it just doesn't make any sense to me. But okay, whatever, right? you know, and and then we go to Theo, which is Braden's right hand man in his company. Theo goes to see Rich, the lawyer that's helping Jax on this murder case. And Theo says even in death, Kalicia's still fucking things up when he shows Rich a potential buyer's offer for Braden's company Clout to look over the contract, just like a second set of eyes. Even though earlier in the episode, Braden did say that he's not even really sure if he wants to sell the company anymore, because with Kalisha dying, it's kind of put things in perspective, and he's not sure if he wants to sell the company anymore. And I really do think that Theo might actually be the killer, because we also find out too that Kalisha was also stealing money from the company. And Theo got proof. He got the receipts. He got the papers showing, I guess, either the transfers or the amounts of money that she was taking from the company. And later on, when Theo goes to see Braden, Theo's like, you let a blowjob and some cocoa butter lead you astray. And even earlier too, when Theo had said, even in death, Kalicia's fucking things up. Rich looked at him kind of like, "What the?" That was an interesting thing to say. So again, I really do think Theo may, to me, Theo's probably maybe the number one suspect. It could be Sarah, the wife, because she lying. But either way, we end up with the last thing that ends up happening in this episode. Sarah, she's trying to sneak back into the house after leaving from Ryan's house, and she's trying not to make any noise. And Braden is on a couch. He kind of sits up because he was like laying flat on his back on the couch, and he kind of startles her, and basically she says good night, I'm gonna go upstairs, and he's like, okay honey, what the fuck are you up to, right? Because she was acting kind of suspicious and sneaking in, and the episode ends there. And so a lot of people are lying for different reasons, but a lot of people are lying. A lot of the marriages and relationships are very messy. From last week's episode, when we go back those 16 years, it literally shows that, after Damon's like, move on with your life, after he lost the case and, he's back in prison, Jax visits him this last time, he's like, move on with your life. He's tearing up, she's crying, he's like, you know, just go live your life, and kind of forget about me. Don't be sitting around waiting for me. Be a boss and all that. And she leaves, and she literally crashes into Lewis. And honestly, though she was really hurt and felt like she failed as a lawyer. She failed him, from the connection that they made. I really do feel like, Lewis was, a rebound, and it was a rebound that lasted, maybe longer than it should have. They don't necessarily show you the courtship of their relationship, but the fact that it was like on the same, like, the same day and later that like evening of the day that she saw Damon, I think that it's quite possible that he was a rebound. Now he still could have helped her move on, but now that Damon is back in the picture and she's, having now she's actually had, sex with Damon, it's just gonna make it more complicated and more messy. And at one point she was talking about, she wanted, in this episode when she was talking to her girlfriend, she was talking about how she wanted kind of a vacation bay, kind of to get her groove back, and that, the sex was really good, but it's, with the emotional connection, she should do that with like some random guy that she would never see again, not with Damon. There's too much going on, and you know, Jax's mom had told Lewis like maybe 2 episodes ago, if you don't fix this, you too may end up doing something that you can't come back from. And you know, if Jax continues to see Damon, or like, it gets serious, then she may end up, doing something that she can't come back from. If she still plans on to, stay married to Lewis, or actually if they plan, or she plans on reconciling with Lewis, I think that Damon is like, could be a real thorn in the marriage, because it's not just some kind of fling thing. It's like something that's more real and tangible than just some kind of one night stand. And so that'll be interesting to see kind of how their story unfolds. And I guess last episode was maybe more her looking back on, that whole interaction initially with Damon and being a DA. Because I mean, the episode just opened and they didn't really give a reason for why, other than, I just thought it was for showing it. But now that I, thinking about it, it looks like that last episode was her kind of recollecting or going over her memories of that time, I think. And so, receiving missed calls from both of them, it kind of does make sense that Damon was the one that she would call back, and I actually thought that Damon was the one that she had called back, but I didn't say it. I was just like, she called somebody back. I just said it in the review last time because I wasn't sure who it was going to be, and it could have possibly had been either one of them, but it was Damon. Damon was the one that she ended up calling back. But yeah, either way. And in this episode too, they do show that Jax and Lewis are kind of a little bit more civil. Lewis has been a little bit more supportive and helping out with the kids while she's doing the trial and in court. And she appreciates it, but again, they're not they're not reconciling fast enough, and Damon is in the win, but Damon wants something serious. He doesn't just want some kind of fling. And that makes sense, especially coming from where he's been. He wants something real and legitimate. He doesn't want some. I mean, because he could do that with anybody too. Both of them can do that with anybody, but he wants something serious. But yeah, again, all the marriages are kind of messy here. Some of them are more toxic than others. You got her girlfriend and the one that's married to that football player, and the whole thing with the high school reunion just to kind of bring them there to showboat. But they're not. They're pretending like they're happier than they actually are. Different people are lying about one things or another. And two, kind of Sarah calling Brayden a pussy, and saying that he's not a killer. And then, Theo's calling Brayden weak in this episode as well. The kind of disrespect of it all. They kind of just think Brayden's a punk. Who knows? Again, possibly Brayden still could have killed Kalisha as well. Just because he had the signed NDA doesn't necessarily mean he still didn't kill her. And even though we find out that he didn't necessarily know that Kalisha was stealing money from him, it's possible that maybe he did know, and he's pretending just like his wife is pretended that she didn't know about the affair. Maybe he's pretending like he didn't know about her stealing money, but he did. And maybe he used that to his advantage. So, a lot of things are going on, but you guys and ladies, let me know what you think about this episode. If you like this review, hit the like button. If you have any comments, leave them below. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Trying to get 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And I will see you next episode.